the Saints resurgence, Ross, you've been pumped with what they've done the last 3 weeks. A lot of players in great form. You see Gresham, Steele and King, but
across the board, weight of numbers, performance. Okay, but I'm not going to break in. They're really efficient scoring. They're a great pressure, front half turnover and stoppage team. But there's two passages that caught my eye that I'd love to see. Here, there's going to be 8 contests. 1, 2, Brad Hill. 3, Gresham, head over the ball, head in the hole. 4, another one. 5, they go again. It's going to be 14, and there's King. He's going to run forward and take the mark ultimately. But if we let this run, there's King. It takes 14. They just have Seb, they're hunting. They're not giving up, even when they're on top. So I just love the mental attitude. That's 14 until you get it out. It goes forward, and there's King, outworked half the Hawthorn team. To me, that stood out where the Saints footy's at. And then this last one, 70 points up. We talk about going to the end, going to red time. This is Butler chasing in the last quarter with 3 minutes to go, 70 points up. So if you're a Saints supporter, get excited because their teamsmanship and their commitment is at levels I haven't seen for a long time.
It's fantastic, Ross, you're right, when they're doing that, when they're 10 goals up. I just wanted to touch on this. I think we've put St Kilda under a lot of pressure saying, how slow are they? How one-paced are they through the midfield? But I think at times, I know he's gone inside and he's been half-back. They're not just relying on the one bloke, Jack Steele, to do it over and over again. We're not saying, gee, Ross is slow, isn't he? I think the role of Gresham coming in has changed the dynamic.
Point of difference. Against the Tigers, he slayed him inside, 22 contested possessions, quick feet, skill, goals. And Crouch, much maligned, back to his best. Pressure points, contested ball, kicking goals. And then you're right, Sinclair was virtually BOG off half-back last week. He can go inside. And I love the mood of Brad Hill, centre forward, where he can initiate his run. And Ryder and Marshall are giving them a point of difference as well.
They're confident. And I think they blew the Tigers off the park, 7 goals to 1 in the last quarter. Blew the Hawks off the park last week. So they'll be...
Well, what they are, they're match hardened and they're fit. They've had a great summer. People were talking about them, well, what will they do? Well, guess what? They're flint hard and they know they can go to the end. So they'll get the three-quarter time. Brett Ratton goes, boys, we know what we can do. And away they go.
We're going to find out about the Suns at Marvel, aren't we, in this game?
Yeah, and it's very difficult. I think the Suns at home are a really tough challenge. And I'm not worried about Carlton because it's the toughest conditions in footy. But the Saints against the Gold Coast will be a great test. They'll keep sorting the chaff from the wheat. Let's see who's a real team and who's pretending.
Well, I am worried about the Giants because they have to play Melbourne at the MCG and there's no tougher trip. And I just want to highlight this bloke. So the captain, he's got Luke Jackson nipping at his heels. I reckon he's a proud man and says, I still want to be the #1 man, although he is very good to Luke Jackson. But have a look at what he's done to Ruckman Max in the last 2 weeks. So he 22 to 2 disposals against Draper, and then 25 to 10 against Lysette.
Well, he had the diaper on there, didn't he? Draper is just the baby ruckman, but he's a dominant, and he made Scott Lysette, who's a really capable ruckman, look second rate.
Yeah, he did. Lysette was a bit sore, but still he's doing a number. But what I loved about Max Gawn is when your ruckman is not only ragdolling you in the ruck, but when he decides to do this, well, what a captain inspirational type of job that is, because you know what, they're coming off a premiership and they're smashing them, and look at what he's still wanting to do.
Talk about dog hungry, a flag, and he missed that. He missed his boot. He turned and chased. And guess what? He's just saying, get him behind me, and they're all jumping in behind him. It's incredible, and it's great to see because he stood up, turned that club around, gave them the feedback after 20 years of pain for their supporters. So enjoy what you're seeing in them. It's pretty special from Max.
And lastly, Carlton play Port Adelaide. So can Carlton make a statement after last week? And can these players support Kenny Hinkley and where he's at? And I want to say there's no Wines and there's no Cripps. So they even each other out. These guys come to the club, Hewitt and Chera, to help and support. I'm not worried about them. I think they'll do the job. These highly touted kids in Rosie and Butters, what can you do on the big stage to support your coach and show what you're made of? Because I think the time's now, Ross.
To their 3rd year now?
Even later than that. I think it's
4th year. So he was touted as equivalent to Walsh. Well, that hasn't stood up. No. We've proven that. But he's got ability. That's fine. And Butters was compared by the coach to Gary Ablett Jr. So they're big raps. Well, guess what? The time's come. Here's your opportunity. If you don't win, your season's over. Take on a midfield without Cripps out the best and put a performance on the board.
Carlton beat them, don't they, Doris?
Yeah, I'm on Carlton. I think it was an aberration last week. Toughest conditions up there in the heat and the humidity. I think they'll get it done.